We're at Module 5 in L.S.I investigation, Who Are You? Prima Facie Evidence. Remember, prima facie is talking about who am I that's obvious to everyone else. What is it that is part of my life that when everyone looks at me and I look at myself, I say that's obvious, that's just, who can question who I am? But what this course is attempting to help you do is to write it down, is to put in a logical format. In this module, we're going to talk about, just very briefly again, forensic evidence contamination. Evidence contamination is a very serious part and a very integral part of this whole process. What we know about evidence is this: you may have the greatest evidence. You may have evidence that doesn't lie. You may have evidence that nobody can dispute. But there are certain things in terms of the collection of evidence and the presentation of evidence and how we preserve evidence, that if these are not done in the right way, that evidence gets thrown out and it's not usable in life. There are many examples, and we often think of some of the sportsmen around us who have taken steroids after being inducted into the Hall of Fame. And they will always be questioned because they did more with their ability than human capacity simply allowed. They added to it with illegal substances. We have others such as Tiger Woods, and how sad this great talent, this incredible physical talent and emotional strength, could then misuse his talent by making promises that he didn't keep. And so in many ways that evidence has diminished even his physical capacity and his playing ability. So we want you to be careful how it is you collect evidence, how it is you preserve evidence, how it is you surround your life with the right people, how it is that you think about yourself. All these things are vital to the preservation and non-contamination of the evidence that you discover. Again, we hope that you've read chapter 9 and chapters 10 in my book, again, Evidence Contamination, Chapter 1, or Part 1 and Part 2. Evidence contamination is about evidence that's used in the wrong way. There's a lot of talk around at the moment about bullying in schools and bullying in corporations and governments that bully their people. Bullying simply means that I take a capacity, a strength. Bullies are strong. They take the best of who they are and they misuse it. They use it in the wrong way. They take physical capacity and they hurt people with it to get them to do what they want. Or they demand, or they demean, or they threaten, or they do things backed up by power and backed up by strength, and they do it in the wrong way. Contamination about great evidence is about evidence that's not used. If you know you have a strength and you choose not to give it to somebody else, that evidence will decay, and I promise you it will. It will be useless for life. It simply is useless when it's not used and given away to other people. Contamination is about evidence that hurts you and hurts others. That is, we use it in the wrong way, and it comes back to hurt us, and it diminishes other people's lives. Evidence contamination comes in a number of different ways, and that is, it contaminates attitudes. Some of us have begun life with attitudes like this, that I'm special, I'm not subject to the rules. And again, we know people like Tiger Woods and Alex Rodriguez, great players with immense talent, have somehow taken this and really, as they've even articulated to the press, I didn't think that I was subject to the rules like other people were. We have a sense of superiority. And if you think that about the strengths that you possess, whether it's academic or intellectual or physical or social, that you're better than, that you're not subject to the rules, you will learn that you are. Life will demand that of you. There are others who simply believe that they're too talented, that they're better than other people, that they're too successful, and again, the rules don't apply to them. There are others who believe that small issues, little things that they can do on the side that nobody seems to see, they can do and get away with them. Life comes back to all of us. It's also the belief that what others don't know, it really doesn't matter, and that is not true. And again, it's one that's somewhat repetitive, but it's also very true, and that is that I'm so important that I should be allowed to do whatever I feel that I want to do. And then there are also beliefs, and these are beliefs that need to be challenged, and evidence will challenge these beliefs. You will not challenge these beliefs in any other way but by discovering evidence. There are some people who say that I can't because I am. I'm a woman, I'm a minority, I'm whatever, I'm disabled, or I've been told that I have a psychological disorder maybe. And I'm not telling you that your diagnosis is wrong, but there are many people who have been misdiagnosed and wrongly diagnosed. And they've defined their lives based on these tests. But for each one of us who say I can't because I am, because you're what? If you define yourself by the deficit, by the lack of, by what you think you don't have, you're wrong. Prima facie evidence is about discovering the evidence of who you are, the strengths that are encapsulated in the DNA that is part of who you are and what is your life. the things that you've been endowed with. The second is that I'm not worth it. You're not worth what? If you haven't discovered your strengths, you don't know what your worth is. And so you're in the process of doing that. And then there are others who say, well, an expert told me, my mother told me, a teacher told me, a coach told me that I couldn't, that I didn't have the right evidence. People are wrong. People often lie. They lie for their own reasons. But you need to ask the question, what does the evidence tell me? Because the evidence does not lie. But if you don't have the evidence, how do you answer these questions? How do you answer beliefs that are distorted, that are diminished? How do you answer beliefs that are just plain wrong? How do you answer people who tell you that you're not what you know you are? Or maybe you don't even know yet, and that's why you're taking prima facie evidence. I want you to look at the bottom of page 12, talks about forensic evidence contamination, and looks at different ways in which we can contaminate. And I want you to journal and think through this next week about your life and about the things that you want to change. The changes that you want to make in your life are not done by simply getting things out of your life. They're done when you discover evidence of strength, when you have something to value in your life. The more evidence that you have that defines who you are, that produces actions and connections and ways of thinking that bring you closer to other people, that allow you to give to other people, a lot of these contamination issues seem to pass away. A lot of the things that you're trying to fix seem to just somehow minimize in your life as well. So again, remember, contamination is a very serious issue, and you're going to be challenged at the end of your intellectual and social and emotional, all those areas of evidence that we're about to look at, to think about contamination seriously, because the very best evidence can be taken out of the courtroom, can be taken out of life when it becomes contaminated. So be aware of it, understand it, read the chapters, digest those chapters very well. There are a lot of good ways of dealing with contamination in chapter 2, especially, or part 2 of the evidence contamination chapters. Be serious about this, because you don't want the very best of who you are, once discovered, to be discarded.